Good afternoon, FounderHub community, and welcome to another demo day. As a reminder, if you're new here, the idea of these demo days is to allow companies to pitch. For many of them, it's the first time they're pitching. For many of them, it's the 100th time they're pitching their business. But practice is great, feedback is great, and the idea is for you guys in the YouTube stream or in the Slack group to interact with what's going on over here. So our guest for today is Siddhartha Kapoor from Lernio. This is a parent engagement platform on the smartphone. A parent engagement platform on the smartphone for K-2 schools. Sid has been running a family-owned school since 2001, and I guess that's the best experience you can get to build an app like this. So Siddhartha, welcome to today's stream.
Hey, hello everyone. Good day to everyone. Good morning. Actually, it's actually 9:30 p.m. here. I'm in India, so I'm glad to be here, and this is the first time I'm pitching.
Fantastic. So, for a first time pitch, and what we want or what I love about these streams is that it's this opportunity to experience this pitch. So the way this will work is Siddhartha will pitch his business. That's about 5 minutes. Feedback from the YouTube community or from the Slack group, please go ahead and add it if you have any questions or if something wasn't clear or if you loved something about the business, please speak out. After that, I'll share some feedback and we'll discuss quickly, and we will jump into questions and discussion with the audience. An interesting conversation was happening today in our Slack community around whether it's fine to share your business information publicly. In this case, we're doing an actual live stream that anyone could watch. So, can someone steal your idea just by looking at this pitch deck? We'll get back to that. But I want to go back to Sid, and if you can share your screen, Sid, we'll be ready to go with the pitch.
All right. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yep, I got it.
All right.
Okay. So whenever you're ready.
All right. So as Kai mentioned, this is Lernio. This is a Facebook-style app for private K-12 schools to drive parent engagement. But before I go into that, I need to set the context. And so we have a lot of experience running schools, and we're part of the educational network in India. And it's while running these schools, we saw the problems and pain points that we actually tried to solve using this app. So the problems are, the two problems, I'll just read them out. High parent engagement causes positive word of mouth and parent advocacy, which in turn are responsible for 66% of enrollment applicant for private schools. But schools constantly struggle with creating the needed word of mouth and parent engagement. So, so private schools are constantly looking for admissions. 80–90% of the schools in India actually have to make efforts to constantly look for attract enrollments and like do marketing and stuff. So parent engagement actually results in parent advocacy, and that's another problem is that schools spend hundreds of hours every year just tracking overdue tuition fee, resulting in heavy overheads and inefficient cash flows. This is a major pain point with most private schools, so much so that in schools in Bangalore and Mumbai, the schools even have to involve the police at times to get tuition fees. It's actually a big problem right now. So so we have a simple solution. And actually, we tried a lot of different apps in the market about 4 years back. None of them worked for us. So we started developing something for ourselves. And it's a very simple solution that teachers are anyway taking pictures and videos inside the classroom. But the way they share it hardly ever reaches the parent. What happens inside the classroom, parents never get to see. So the teachers take these pictures and using their app, their Lernio, they tag the kids, upload the photographs, just like Facebook. And the photograph or the video will get pushed to only the parents of the students tagged in that. So same time for the parent, everything that the parent sees in his app is curated. Like it's all about his child. So we have a timeline style, a Facebook style timeline feed, which actually makes the content more engaging. And in the same timeline, we have so this is how the app looks like. This is like a timeline, and then the same timeline we are pushing assignments, upcoming event alerts, the school news, which is meant to be shared with everyone, alerts, push notification, and the parents can even pay the school tuition fee using the same app. So a business model is very simple. We're charging $1 or equivalent in India, 70 rupees per child per month, which is billed to the school. So effectively, the school is our customer. We set up a school admin dashboard for them, and they get the parents and the teachers on board. So the market size in India is we have 375,000 schools in India, the math, it's a addressable market of $1.2 billion. Immediately after India, our next market to go to with similar style, similar parenting, similar educational systems is Southeast Asia. Again, it's a $7.2 billion market. So we already have traction. We have 3 revenue-paying schools with 1,500 students and an annual recurring revenue of $18,000. So we surveyed the parents. Parents are already highly engaged. So we are very proud of this. The 64% of the parents are checking the app once daily to know, to see, to look for updates, look for the photographs of the children. These are just some codes. Okay, skip through them. So this is something I'm proud of. We are on track to solve the problem that I just mentioned. So we have, in the last 1.5 years, the schools that are using it, we've increased the parent references by 22%, increased that the parent references come by 63%, and there's an 82% reduction in withdrawals, like students moving from one school to the other because they're dissatisfied. And this is all because of the high parent engagement happening, and because of that, the word of mouth that gets created because parents are constantly seeing what is happening inside the classroom. Again, Lernio is also promoting fee collection for schools. It's an 11% reduction in overdue students and a 79% reduction in time spent on tracking overdue fee. So instead of so many people involved, this is very typical to India. But this is something we're really proud of, and because of the automation and the app, it's just come down. So the sales strategy is leveraging existing network of founders. Founders who are founders of schools who are veteran. So we are using our network, participating in conferences, exhibiting in conferences, and of course, direct emailers. So the vision for learning communication, which is also already in place. The next step is that we want to automate a lot of other school processes, and the final vision is that as a school, we get so many vendors who come to us offering so many different services. And as a school, we in any school would not want too many apps or more than one app to be as part of the school ecosystem. So we want to create a marketplace for third-party apps so the other vendors can push in their content through Lernio. So that's the bigger vision. This is what we're wanting to raise, and that's it. Yep, that's it.
Awesome. Let me go back to go ahead and unshare your screen so we can see your face again.
Okay.
So this is great. I think that your pitch does a great job of explaining what you're building. I have very few comments on the deck. I think that you nailed the message very accurately. And again, for the guys on the stream, by the way, questions, comments, whatever you want, just put it on the YouTube chat comment thingy or on the Slack group, and I'll make sure I get to those. But my first question to you is one that comes from a bunch of founders in FounderHub, which is, how do you get to this point? How do you build an app without funding? This is a place where many of the founders I come across are stuck.
Okay, so till now we've used our own money to build the app. We've probably invested about close to 100K US dollars, 100,000 US dollars already. So we're basically bootstrapping up till now, and we still have funds for the next some of the next improvements. But we now foresee that to grow and really scale up, we need more funds.
I see. And if you're open to sharing, maybe just a ballpark figure, but how much did it cost you to develop the app to where it is now? It seems, it looks really good. You have people using it and you're making money out of it. So it's
Yeah.
most certainly a very valid MVP. So how much did that cost? Did you build that on your own team, or did you outsource it?
So we outsourced it. So though I can code, but I focus primarily on the sales and everything. So I've completely outsourced it for now, and we've spent close to $110,000 on building the app to the place where it's right now.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
What's the role of your co-founder? Maybe I missed that. Sorry.
So basically, my co-founder is actually my father. So it's more of so we do a lot of strategy together, but on a day-to-day thing, he doesn't really have that discuss, and so yeah, so the strategy part,
Got it.
decisions and everything. Yeah.
Got it. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on to some questions and some comments from the group.
Yeah.
From DR Spinor, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. So great presentation. One nice thing to see would have been your pipeline and information about your competitors. Yeah, I agree there. You know, I was kind of hooked up into the story and the traction especially. But yeah, certainly competitors are important. I'll ask you. You know, I know that you're thinking of this as an app that could be used anywhere, but you know, what's your roadmap in terms of moving out of India? Like, when do you plan to move out of India, or do you plan to focus on India alone for the upcoming, I don't know, 5 years? I don't know.
The general roadmap is that we want to hit about 100 schools in India, maybe in the next 12 months,
Mm-hmm.
probably preferably lesser. But of course, we continue to grow in India, but then we will have the necessary revenue and everything to actually go out. And like countries like Philippines and Cambodia, Indonesia, the edtech space is completely nascent there. Like I've visited some of these places just to explore, and these are markets that we can address. And actually, though in India there are some competitors which are doing some things which are overlapping to what we're doing. But in these spaces, especially like country like Philippines, there's hardly any competitor that like I could find. So this is like market that I want to enter.
Got it. A little bit related to that, and I forgot to mention it. So I'm a dad myself, and we have our own app for in school. It's called Nemborn. Yeah, like I don't use it that much, but I you know, I see from the other parents in the group that they're very much into the app, like you said, you know, checking every day. And I'm not saying they're helicopter parents. It's just, you know, some parents have more free time, I guess, to check on what their kids are doing in school. I don't have that much time, but
Yeah.
but I see where you're
Yeah.
going, and I think that this is a very valid metric to talk about.
Okay.
You know, repeat use and the fact that it's been a useful tool for parents, because in the end that stops schools from churning out if parents are seeing value in the app.
Yes.
Let me move to a question from the audience. So what are the learnings you've had in getting folks to use it, and how have you prioritized changes?
Oh, okay. So I have the last 3-4 months we've had a couple of learnings. So I'm going to details of the app. Okay, so we also had a web login for the teachers, and so we realized in the last 3 months that except for international schools in India, most of the schools teachers don't necessarily have a So we are completely moving to a mobile-only solution now. So everything that we had a web, so like teachers are uploading assignments and stuff using the web login, but we actually had to come up with ideas and a nicer user interface so that they can do all that on the mobile itself. So that's one insight that we're really proud of, and we're moving towards that. Secondly, we realized that the whole system gets driven inside the school, not by the teachers, but more by a supervisor or a headmistress or someone like that. So we're actually coming up with so again, for the headmistress and the supervisor, we had a web login. We're coming up with a mobile app dedicated for the supervisor with dashboards and all those things, and also introducing gamification so that the usage is driven even more. So because end of the day, that content is being created by the teachers. Yeah, so the parents consume it. So we need to drive that content creation.
Got it. Awesome. So moving into one of the topics that I mentioned that we wanted to discuss, which goes around sharing, you know, being open to sharing this information about your company. I think at the stage where you're now, you know, you don't have to worry about somebody else stealing this concept because you're already, you have an app that's developed that took months or years. You spent $100,000+ in the development. So for somebody who's just listening to this to go out and say, oh, I'm gonna build the next Lernio, I'm just gonna steal the business out of this guy. He's already 2 years behind at least, right? But I'm wondering what your thought process is in your case with competitors. Are you are you at all worried that they're going to see what your traction is? This is obviously a trick question, but with the upside that you're also getting potential investors to look at this. You're getting feedback from the group. So where do you stand there? Why were you in the end agreeing with doing a live stream about this?
Sorry, I lost your voice. Can you repeat your last sentence?
Yeah,
I lost your voice.
What's your train of thought when you decided to go and do a YouTube live stream on our channel and tell us everything about your business?
It's basically I want to learn, and this is the first time I'm pitching. So I'm just excited that the way I presented it makes sense, and it just validates a lot of things that I've been trying to say. About your question about the idea that I'm not making it public, and people can, of course, my competitors can, if they see this, they can copy some of these things, but they could do most of this thing anywhere from my website. So I'm not scared about that per se, because as you rightly said, it takes a lot of time to catch up. So I'm okay with this.
And that's kind of where I was going with what we're doing. So this is maybe probably our 10th demo day. We've been doing these since the beginning of the year. And in general, with the companies I speak to me, one thing that really jumps out as a super red flag from a founder is when they want to ask me something about their business. They want me to share some feedback or something like that, and they're like, "No, but I can't tell you anything until you sign an NDA." I'm like, "Dude, I'm trying to help you. I'm not." And this is a very genuine point. Like, I'm not gonna stop what I'm doing. And start from just drop my company to go out and build something that I'm copying out of somebody, and that's the general case for the majority of humanity. They're not going to stop what they're doing. And then another good point that I like to use here is, if somebody can steal your business just by knowing what it is, businesses are all about execution, and if somebody can just steal that and beat you to market in less time just by hearing what your idea is, then the idea might not be as good. Like this doesn't apply to 100% of businesses. I say it applies to 98% of businesses. Some ideas are really innovative and cool, but look at let's see a familiar case like the Snapchat Instagram thing. Snapchat was first to market. They built this product and this platform, and then Instagram took it. But the reason why Instagram beat them to that is because they already had this huge audience, right? It's not, if someone would have done Snapchat clone, probably somebody did, then it didn't get any traction, because it's about the execution, right? It's about who does it first, faster, better, and gets it to market. That's my quick monologue on sharing ideas. I have another question from the audience. So in the States, especially the Bay Area, contracting developers is really expensive. Do you think being in India was a competitive advantage? Oh, I think we lost it for a sec. Let's see if, there we go.
Yeah. Can you repeat the last sentence?
Sure. Do you think being in India was a competitive advantage towards hiring developers?
No, it's not cheap. Of course, it's cheaper than in the States, but still it's more expensive than building your own team. But I am at that stage that I don't have the time and energy to focus on building on my team. And it just made sense to pay a slight premium and just outsource it for the time being. Because right now, I think the primary focus is traction. Once we have schools, once we have funding, then of course, maybe in 1 year down the line, I would love to build our own team. Not for now. So it was just a strategic decision.
Great. And this is, your case, Sid, I think relates, goes against a lot of what I preach. So when somebody asks me on whether they should outsource their development or build stuff in-house, my answer is always build stuff in-house, simply because it's so expensive to hire developers to do it for you. I think you are a good testament of how expensive it is to hire developers. You were $100,000 in the buck in the whole. I
Yes.
mean, on so far,
Yeah.
but the
Yeah.
business is working. It's
Yeah.
generating revenue, and you sort of hit the nail on the head with the app functionality for that first version. So that's great news. In my experience, that doesn't always happen. Oftentimes when you outsource something, you are too optimistic about how the first version is going to work, and then maybe you need to go in and ask these guys to to make some adjustments, and then that costs extra money. So my recommendation is still to try to build a team that can do it in house. Your co-founder should be able to help with the process. But you, Sid, I think you're a fantastic exception to my rule, and I will
Yeah.
mention your success case in the future.
Thank you.
Some other questions here. So every crowdfund campaign is sharing valuable information. Are they worried? I highly doubt it. Just use the edge and execute. So that's a great point, Carl. With crowdfunding, I've seen companies in China kind of stealing Kickstarter products, and that has sort of happened. But yeah, in general, it's very, very unlikely. I think hardware products on Kickstarter are sort of the ones that are getting a little bit ripped off by copycats. Another question from the audience. Sid, are you worried about the devs you hired not respecting your intellectual property, your IP?
No. So the company that I've outsourced my work to is a respectable company. They do work for some very big brands. They're signed an NDA, and I'm not worried. Yeah, I'm fine. So I actually like we meet in person regularly, so I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I agreed with you that
Hmm.
any respectable company should
Yeah, yeah,
respect the owner's IP.
yeah.
I think the exception is the ones that kind of try to take advantage. All right, so we're 20 minutes in. I don't see any more questions or comments, so I'll give you like a last call for anything you want to add. Sid, do you want to add anything or anything that I can help with?
I just the one feedback that I really got that I need to add a slide for competitors, and I don't know how I missed that. So yeah, that's something I'll add. But otherwise, I'm very happy, and I'm excited that my first time pitching went off well, and it made sense. The story made sense to you and others. Yeah, thanks for this opportunity.
Great. Yeah, man, the story makes a lot of sense. The presentation flows great. Your traction slide is, I think your traction slide is your strongest slide. Your product looks very good, but when you talked about being able to onboard schools, which means you were able to sell to schools, which is a challenge. It's a challenge that we, SlideBean, have not been able to solve yet. So if you were able to solve that, to charge them $1 per student for this app, it shows that you're in the right direction. And if this is your first pitch, and this is the first pitch that you create, and it looks like that, and the story flows so well, I think you're on a great track. So congrats.
Thank you.
All right, so I think that's it for today, guys. If you want a slot in our pitch deck, in our weekly demo days, shoot me a message on the Slack community. The link is down below in the YouTube stream. In the YouTube comments description thing. So we hold these every Wednesday. So make sure to tune in for the next session, and make sure you join our community. We have events every day. So tomorrow we'll have a feedback session, and we do that every Wednesdays and Thursdays. So thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you next week. Thanks, Sid, for joining us today.
Thanks, bye bye.